Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Cramer. I have Laura Wright with us. I have to say, she is my favorite sales lady. And you'll see why, because you're amazing. And we're going to get into some of that deep psychological stuff that needs to be overcome to really crush it in sales. That was a very masculine statement here. That being said, as business owners, we all know we need to up our sales game. Sales is, if you're not good at it, it's going to be the kiss of death in your business. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Oh, thank you so much, Alicia. I know it's funny because I love sales. I think it feels good. I think everyone else in the world loves sales and it feels good to them. And then I speak to people and I learn no one out there likes sales because you're probably not taught what to do or how to actually make it feel good, or more importantly, how to make it work. So I'm just glad that we're able to have a conversation about it because I think that when smart business owners understand how to make money on command, you can actually do the good work that you want to do in the world. So I'm ready to dive in.
Awesome. So, couple things that you kind of packed into that statement. I think most people have some limiting beliefs about sales. I had this conversation many times. It's cultural. It's we hear it coming out of people's mouths since we're children. The used car salesman, the sleazy salesperson, just trying to make a buck, all that negative stuff. And unless you are that very rare personality who's like, I like to be that person, right?
No one should like to be that person.
Right? Most people are like, subconsciously, they don't want to be that person.
Mhm.
And so, if they're talking about what they do in their business, the product, their service, and they're really passionate about it, it doesn't feel like sales. But then the moment that it becomes a sales conversation, the psychological stuff starts to play its evil, ugly tricks. And before you know it, you're talking yourself out of a sale or you're not even asking for the sale. Now, I'm gonna just hand the mic over to you and I t- retrain us, Laura.
Let me help you all. So here's the number one thing that I know. Have you ever had that experience with a friend or even a colleague, and they come and ask you for some help, and then you are like, oh, I gotcha. Here's what you should do. And then you watch them go off and not do that. Okay, so why does that happen? It happens because there's not a commitment of exchange. So, one of the big things that I see in sales is not something you do to someone. Because like all that negative stuff is like, I'm taking someone's money, I'm coercing them. And P.S., I know how to do that. Like we were joking a little at the beginning, but that's literally how I was taught sales was how to do the techniques that I actually think are harmful and not ethical. So by knowing them, I never felt good. So I stopped doing them. But I also had to clear the gunk out. Like, how did I think about sales? How did I feel about sales? And starting to reimagine what I'm actually doing. And what I started to learn was this: sales is actually the first step of service. Because I know each and every one of you who are listening or watching, you want to actually help your clients. Like you wouldn't be here because I don't know a lot of people who are listening who are like, you're not buying a franchise to go like make some widgets and make some money. You probably actually have like a really amazing mission and heart and you want to help people. But the key is this: if you cannot make a sales conversation happen, you don't get permission, you don't get consent, you don't get the ability to help people. And when I started to see that sales is actually the first step of me being able to help people, it really changed how I felt about it. So that's like the first place I like to go with the inner work.
Now, let's go a little bit deeper. So, there's so many cliches. sales is really being of service. And, we can go on all of the cliches, both positive and negative. But when it really comes down to it, a lot of people know intellectually, they know the skills, they know the tactics, they know that they're supposed to listen more than they talk, and that they're supposed to, build rapport, and they know all this stuff, but there is still something that's blocking them.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's as early in the game as they don't even get the potential prospect or lead, or the prospective new client to speak to, because they're resisting at like the maximum level. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody, that's scary, they're going to reject me. And then you have people who have all these opportunities, and just they freeze. They cannot get out of their own head.
Mhm.
So for someone who they're this far in, they're like, okay, I'm committed to listening to this podcast episode. I believe that there's something here for me. I really want to give them some type of shift,
Mhm.
something that makes the difference between it being purely intellectual and start to move it into more of like embodying that I really am able to do this. I really can do this, and I can do it with integrity. And I love how you operate with so much integrity, but still so many of the practical skills and tools. So now I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but if anybody can do it, I know you can.
I can, I can. Okay, so here's what's actually happening with your discomfort around sales, any piece of it. I love that you said the word embodiment, because that's literally what it is. You have not practiced and done things enough times for it to feel familiar and comfortable. And so what happens is you haven't, so it doesn't feel familiar and comfortable, so you don't do it. So on and on and on. And I'm talking about some of like the practical skill, because I do think there's something to be said about doing the journaling, releasing things that are showing up for you. It's part of why I love that we're having this conversation, because you sit so wonderfully in that seat of helping people like really break through some of the mindset and energetic pieces. But the second side of it really is about embodiment and practice. And I want you to think about anything in your life that you can do without having to describe it to me, like brushing your teeth. I always love this example. Like anyone who is listening, I hope this is good hygiene. So yes, let's say they do. Anyone who is listening, without me telling them how to do it, could go and brush their teeth and come back. You know it because you've probably been doing it since the moment you could actually hold a toothbrush in your hand. But the difference is we don't have that kind of practice with sales. And what we also don't have is, honestly, there's kind of like one way to brush your teeth. Like maybe you have an electric toothbrush or maybe you have a manual, but you put the toothpaste on and you go around your mouth and you spit it out and ta-da, you brush your teeth. Some of you are good and you do it for 2 minutes like you're supposed to, but you get where I'm going. The thing with sales is it's different. We don't grow up doing it all the time. We don't feel comfort. So there's two things that you need in place to feel excellent with sales. One is you actually need a formula that feels good that you can follow. If you have one that you can repeat and follow, what happens is you will see progress and see yourself getting better. If you are simply getting on sales conversations and winging it willy-nilly style, or worse, Frankensteining it with a ton of different opportunities, what happens is you get off one call and you're like, well, that didn't go well, and this one went well, and why did you don't know how to really go and check and see what happened. But if you have a formula that you can count on, it builds your resilience, your confidence, and it also starts working. Second thing that I love about sales more than just about anything is, let's use weight loss, because weight loss is a great example as well. If you actually wanted to, let's say, lose 10 or 15 pounds, I'm seeing all the infomercials, the lose 10 or 30 pounds before the end of the holiday stuff. We're all seeing that. If you actually wanted to do that, you can't just go to the gym for 40 hours a week and work out for 40 hours a week and actually have better results. In fact, you might even damage yourself. Here's the different thing about sales. The more you do in a shorter amount of time, the better and more confident you get at it. It's that funny, funny thing that really works. And what happens is, and I remember talking with a client of mine years back, she was like paralyzed, could not do the outreach. Even when someone came to her and was like, I have money, please take it from me. she would somehow say or do something that would make it not work. And when she came to me, she was just so like uncomfortable. And that's, I don't think that's the right word. So we gave her an exercise and I told her, I just want you to go do I call it a 100 call challenge. Just FYI, no one here, no one has to do 100 sales calls. But what we basically did was we just got her through that mark of making it so it almost didn't matter. There was no weight. It wasn't held. If she talked to somebody, fantastic. If it closed, great. If it didn't. And what ended up happening, I think it was about maybe 3 weeks in our working together, she reached out to me and she's like, Laura, I just realized something. It's okay. I'm like, what? What's okay? And she's like, I can talk to somebody, and whether they say yes or no, I just feel comfortable. I know what I'm doing. I'm no longer freaked out by it. And a funny thing happened. She started getting her sales. So I know it sounds simple to say it, but you've got to practice it. You've got to do it enough times, and you need to follow the same pattern because sales is easy for me because I've probably done, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of sales conversations in my 20 some odd years. And that's why it feels comfortable and I'm not nervous. But you have to give yourself the gift of going through the discomfort. But you can't go through the discomfort without being in a supported container where you have people around you cheering you on, or you don't have a formula that you're following. That's my long story short answer.
Those are incredibly valuable tips. Now, for some people, they may be saying to themselves, I could do that. Maybe they have some degree of like a scripted process that they can fall back on. And then for them, it's just a matter of putting in the reps, which is great. What about for someone who is like, I've never created any type of script. I don't even know where to start. I'm not a salesperson, so therefore I wouldn't even know how to create some type of framework for these sales calls. Where do they start?
Hi, my name's Laura. I'm going to teach you the 5 steps to yes so you never have to worry about it again. I'm being a little silly, but honestly, I'll walk everyone through it because it's something I can teach in 5 minutes or in 5 days. But I call it the 5 steps to yes because I want it to be so simple. Because here's the truth: you don't need a script, you are the script. And so, what I want to do is just show everyone really easily how to do this. So, the first things first, it's kind of a precept. Do your inner work. Sit down and really get clear about what objections you say when you're on sales calls, how you feel about the sales process. Really get yourself clean and clear because the energy you bring into sales, well, guess what? They're going to feel it. They're going to know exactly what's going on. If you are scrambling for money and you get on a call, it does not matter what you say, they will feel that. So, what I do is I get into a beautifully detached from the outcome state and I get myself either powered up or calmed down, depending on which one I need. I sometimes need the calm down. And then I start my process. So, here it is: 5 steps. First one is called connection. What we're doing here is just take a minute. Take a minute. Don't dive into the sale. Find out how the two of you have something in common. Ask about their weather. Ask about where they live. Ask about if they have kids. If you have an opportunity, go look on social media and see if you can find out about them. But really, what we're trying to do is show how we have something in common. You know, that concept of know, like, and trust? You create that in connection. I think what happens is most people try to dive in, just relax, start a conversation. Second thing you're going to do, I call it listen and learn. This is where you're going to ask the person what's going on, what's working well, more importantly, what's not working well. Sometimes I'll flat out ask somebody, what are you struggling with? And a lot of my ideal clients aren't always struggling. Like they're in good spots. They've got a lot of good things going on. So I'm like, well, what do you want a little more of? Or where do you find yourself getting stuck? And I want you to hear how I'm saying this. I say a lot of different phrases because I'm actually talking with the human across the table from me versus following a script. So find out, what are they struggling with? Why do they think they struggle with it? Why do they need to change it now? Because if somebody does not have a problem, guess what? You don't need to have a sales conversation with them because they don't have anything they need to solve. What I then like to do is once I've listened and learned to find out what they're actually struggling with, and sometimes this takes a little time, I just give them a little success story. What this does is it validates them, it helps them feel seen and heard and acknowledged. And what happens is people start to believe if it'll work for someone else, it might just work for them. Now, I hear you maybe out there thinking, well, I don't have a lot of clients. I don't have a lot of success stories. Don't worry about it. You only need one. It can also be what you brought yourself through, but teach them that what they're struggling with is not a singular thing. It's not just them. After you've talked about this client success story, then I go into the third step, which is called the vision. Because here's the deal, it's really hard to sell from struggle. Do you guys know about like pain points and how you're supposed to push people and tell them about all the terrible things? Don't do it. It just doesn't work. So don't do it. It doesn't feel good to you. It doesn't actually work. I just simply ask, what do you really want? And when somebody tells me what they want, I ask them, whether you're selling a website or you're selling sandwiches or coaching or consulting, what is it that this person actually wants as their outcome? And when they tell me, I then repeat it back to them and I amplify it. And what happens in this moment is they start to believe what they want is possible, which also leads them to believing that you have an ability to serve them. So once I've got their vision, I do exactly the same thing after step two, which is listen and learn. I insert a client success story and I just reflect their vision back and I talk about how I've supported this other person. And I ask the question, would you like to hear how we can do it together? Now, here's what's different. My step four is called the invitation. It's not a pitch. I'm not selling something to someone. I'm inviting them to solve their problem and get them to their vision. And first things first is consent. So I ask, do you actually want to do this? Not do you want to work with me, but do you want to solve your problem? Do you want to get to your vision? Because here's the best part, when they say, yes, I want to change, they are immediately open to seeing how you can help them. And if they're not open, you can release from the call. What I do differently inside my invitation is I don't give somebody just one way to work with me. I give them two and sometimes three ways. Two is a very luxury VIP, big, bold, however you want to say it way. And then the other one's my core way. And sometimes I'll also slide in a little small bite. It's that one thing we can do together that gets them ready to do your core offer or do your higher level offer. And I simply describe it, match to their struggle and match to their vision. This is a little bit more complicated, and I teach this a little bit more in my programs, but I want you to feel the difference here. When you have one offer, it's yes or no. When you have two or three ways, it's which way would you like to get started with? That's my favorite. So I'll ask this question, which way would you like to get started? And then we will talk down the pathway of price point and all the other things. But here's the other best part about it. It opens the doorway for step five, which is the final one, which is the close. When I ask, how would you like to get started? Here's what comes up. I'd love to, but the yeah buts. My yeah buts are my favorite. They are resistance, they're objections, they're all the reasons why they don't feel comfortable changing, and that's okay. I teach all my clients how to feel really comfortable in this zone because honestly, when you follow the five steps, more often than not, you're taking a credit card at the end. But when you ask these questions and you want to find out what is your actual resistance, you don't have to use coercion or persuasion to get them to buy. You can simply walk through it. Do you not have the money? Well, let's talk about it. Do you need to speak to a spouse? Fantastic. Let's help you do that. Do you need more time or is this not the right time to do it? Let's find out what you need for success. And when you can close with people, then you actually get to do the work in the world that you want to do. So that was my condensed version of five steps to yes, but it gives you the formula and you can relax. You don't have to worry about that awkward thing of we chatted, and then I gave them an offer and it felt like nails on chalkboard and then they ran away and ghosted. We don't want that. You just follow five steps and it lets you ask questions, give support, ask questions, share your invitation, and then the two of you can work together. It is that simple.
It's this is gold. Now, I know that you have a gift, and I think
Mhm.
that this is probably the perfect time to slide that right in because right now, after listening to that, people are like, okay, I want more, I need more, how can I get more? So can you just do a quick plug for your free gift?
Yeah. Yeah. 2 seconds. Go now, and I'm sure the URL will be in the show notes. But it's laurawrightofficial.com/gift, and I'll tell you what you're getting. It is an entire PDF on how to overcome objections. Because here's the deal. That's the number one sticky wicket when it comes to sales. If you are feeling uncomfortable waiting for them to say no, if you don't know what to do when they say, I'd love to, but when you can feel confident and have that in your pocket and know what to do, you don't have to worry about any coercion. You can simply just share with it. So I have this great PDF. Go grab it. Also, if you go to my actual site, you can see I have my book too, which I'm sure you're not supposed to send people to two different things. But what I love about it is it's just lessons on how to go create an income boost. So if you want that partnered way of knowing how to actually close sales, but how to get people to talk to, that's a nice matchup. And there's tons of mindset stuff sprinkled in the middle.
So I feel like the more value you can provide and the different ways that you can meet people, that's what we really want to do as heart-centered, spiritual, if you want to call it that, visionary entrepreneurs. We want to feel like we're making a positive difference in people's lives. And there's no shame in acknowledging I wasn't trained how to sell properly. Just like there's, and I say this all the time, I have beautiful entrepreneurs who will contact me and sometimes I know that they want my support with mindset challenges and things like that. And they're just in a place where financially it's just a really challenging time. And there's so much shame. We walk
Mm.
around and we have so much shame about the areas where we feel like we're falling short of who we want to be. And we have to be willing to let that stuff go. We have to be willing to just say, you know what? I'm human and I wasn't programmed to be perfect. I wasn't, and I can't, right? But I can be
You can
better.
still try.
Right. I can be better. And so those tools are incredible resources. And we'll have all of this in the show notes as well to make it as easy as possible for everyone to access those goodies. All right. So as we come to a close, now, normally I would be wrapping up the show here at this point, but I'm hoping that we can get one more nugget from you. Just one more like, ooh, that was so good. That's, that people can just take and run with. So here we have an audience of business owners, all different industries, all different stages. Everyone could use some improvement, I'm sure, in the area of sales, just like everything in life and in business. There's always room for improvement. What do you feel inspired to share?
Mm. There's two things. So one is ask for more. There is somebody out there with an eighth of the talent you have selling a package or program 10 times what you're selling it for. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and just raise your rates for no reason, but what I know is so many heart-centered, amazing people who actually want to serve, they drop their rates down. And when you undersell, you're actually not serving yourself or the other person. So I just encourage you to look at your numbers and really ask for what you really need. I do a math equation with most of my clients, and we almost always come up with this thing that if they had been selling at the right amount, they would have as much money as they wanted right now. And that actually their price point was making it so they would never hit their goals. I say that only so that you can step up and really ask for what you need. It serves you and it serves your clients. And the other side of things I want to say is this. So practice saying what you would consider are big numbers. I realized something a long time ago as I was in corporate, I was selling things that were like the smallest thing I ever sold was 25,000. Most things were like 100,000, 250,000, million, several $1 million. And then I left that and I went to selling real estate. And the smallest property I ever bought and sold was 75,000. And most things were 400. Like I just got very comfortable saying what everybody else thought were big numbers. And so then when I got into the coaching industry, it was very simple for me to say a number like it's a fact. I can say 100,000, I can say 400,000, I can say 497. It's not about what the volume of the number is, it's that I can say it without charge. So act a little crazy, walk around your house and say, Laura told me to do this, and say things like $695,422. It doesn't matter what the amount is, just get comfortable so you're saying it like a fact. Like the sky is blue and the sun is shining. I have an offer that is $12,000. It's just a fact, and you take the emotional charge out of it. That's my two golden nuggets for the price of one.
I love it. And there's so much science behind that. In my academy, there's access to a program. It's not mine. It's from my school that I got my hypnotherapy training from, the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. They have this program. It's called the Mental Bank. Every night, what you're doing is you're paying yourself for all of the activities that you've done, for instance, in your business, but not at your rate, at the next level rate. And then you just keep accumulating. And what it does is it starts to program your mind to be comfortable with those bigger numbers. It's incredible, and I love that takeaway. So I really hope everyone takes advantage of that little nugget and implements. All right, now this really is the time where I do have to ask how our listeners can connect with you because we are out of time. So where can our listeners go to learn more about you and all of the amazing things that you're doing?
Most definitely. Okay, so thing number one, I hang out over on LinkedIn. So come find me. It is the LinkedIn message that you go to and Epic at Sales, EPIC, because there are quite a few Laura Wrights out there. In fact, there's about four famous Laura Wrights. So if you look me up, you may or may not find me, but we'll make sure you have the link. But it's / Epic at Sales. Come into LinkedIn. I'm a real live human. I promise you, if you message me, I will respond to you. And in fact, if you message me, I'll answer your questions. So come hang out with me there. That's where I show up. And then also come to my website, laurawrightofficial.com. That's where my book is, No Woman Down. And yes, it's for gents as well as ladies, but it's really little lessons to help you on your income rise because I've been there. I've been at the bottom and I've had to shake myself off and get back to the top again more than once. And those are the lessons. And then please grab my gift. It is How to Overcome Objections. And it'll also walk you through the 5 steps to yes. So if you didn't catch it or take all the notes, don't sweat it. Just go grab the PDF. You'll have it handy and you'll close more sales and serve more people and we'll change the world. That's my thoughts.
Amazing. I knew you would be. Did not disappoint. I'm sure our listeners agree. So I want to thank you so much for being with us today, Laura.
Thank you, Alicia. I'm grateful to be here.
And thank you to all of you who are listening. You stuck with us till the end. You are amazing. We're doing this for you. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.